risk tracking tool. We will be reviewing the monthly and individual tracking tools that have been revised for 2025. My name is Mary Beth Cox. I am a Quality Improvement Coordinator in the Office of Clinical Quality Management, and you can reach me at my email address listed on the slide. Let's get started. I'm going to start on the instructions page, and we're also starting with the monthly version of this tracker. There's also an individual version, which we will be looking at the end of the video. I want to review the purpose of this workbook. It is a tool to track the incidence of common risks and conditions experienced by individuals with developmental disabilities. It can help you track risks and conditions, level 1, 2, and 3 serious incidents, risk triggers and thresholds, and care concerns. And new this year, it also has a place for you to put your annual systemic risk assessment. Having this all in one place can help you achieve compliance with licensing regulations 160C, 520C, 520D, and possibly more. I'm not going to read these instructions to you. Rather, I'm going to show you around the workbook. However, I want you to know that anytime that you experience challenges or have questions about parts of the workbook, you should come back to this instructions page, and I think it will help you out. So next, we're going to go to the definitions page. And I want you to know that to navigate around in this workbook, you're going to use the tabs. So all the tabs at the bottom have different colors, and the colors do mean something, and they are referred to by their name and their color in the instructions tab. So looking at the definitions page, it has definitions for level 1, 2, and 3 serious incidents, risk triggers and thresholds, and care concern criteria. There is a link that has a reference to the licensing regulation with definitions. And we start here with the level 1 definition. This also includes examples of level 1 serious incident categories to track. These are just examples, as there are not official types of level 1 serious incidents to track. So hopefully these examples can help you as you're determining what is important for you and your organization. The level 2 definition is here, along with the actual categories that are in the regulation. Same for the level 3 definition and categories. There is a definition of risk trigger and threshold, along with the definition of care concerns and the actual categories of care concern criteria as of January 1st, 2023. And as of the making of this video, these are still the criteria. On the next tab, we have the incident review flowchart. This is also included for you as a reference. This flowchart walks you through the whole process of serious incidents, collecting data and reporting, beginning with an individual event. What I want to point out to you first is it goes from individual event to your quarterly review to your systemic review. It has references to the particular licensing regulations related to each step in the process. Also, these dotted lines indicate the flow of data from individual to quarterly to annual. All right, let's look at the monthly risk tracker. All right, so this, starting in the upper left-hand corner, it has the year in pink font. You can edit this box and you can change it every year as you need to, and it will also change in subsequent tabs where it has the year. So this tracker has pre-filled risks and conditions that your organization should track. They are aspiration pneumonia, bowel obstruction, choking, decubitus ulcer or an increase in severity of decubitus ulcer, dehydration, falls, seizure, sepsis, and UTIs. This list cannot be edited. It It also includes these 4 that are in purple. So these you can edit, but it is highly recommended that you track these as well. Suicide attempt, sexual assault, medication error, and unplanned psychiatric hospitalizations. Below these in the blue font, we call them add your own. This is where you decide what else you want to track in terms of serious incidents, and you can add them here. You can see I've already added peer-to-peer incidents and cuts and scrapes. I could add however many I want. I'm going to add here, let's say medication error. I know that's already one, but I just wanted to show you that you are able to type in that box. Okay, I'm going to put it back. And so for each month, you're going to come to this tab and enter the number of each of these types of serious incidents that are level 1, level 2, and level 3. You can see the months are all laid out here. Each one has a different color, kind of in changing hues over the course of the month, with the last column being the total. And it does automatically total these up for you. I'll show you real fast. So if I put a 2 here and an 8 here, you can see that it automatically tallies up to 10. Another thing to note here is that for aspiration pneumonia, bowel obstruction, and decubitus ulcer, these should never be level 1 serious incidents, so that is why those are blacked out. Okay, let's look at the quarterly totals. So the data that you put here will roll into the quarterly totals and then populate your graphs. So when you put data in the monthly risk tracker, you also get a lot more information in subsequent tabs. So on the quarterly totals tab, you cannot edit this page. It's basically a holding space for quarterly totals for each type of serious incident by level. You could use this as a reference if you wanted to look at these numbers for each quarter. These data are also used to populate the graphs, which we're going to look at next. So let's look at these graphs one by one. This first one is just an overall total of all the serious incidents for each of these risks and conditions by quarter. So, and again, it's automatically populated. You don't have to create this graph. It's already created for you. Every quarter for subsequent graphs, they're all the same colors throughout. So quarter 1 is dark blue, quarter 2 is this lighter blue, quarter 3 is yellow, quarter 4 is green. And so this enables you to really look at your trends for each quarter as the year goes by. And you can see here, it looks like our highest serious incidents are falls, followed by medication errors, and then urinary tract infections. So this is all levels combined together. So the next graphs separate out the level 1, 2, and 3 serious incidents. So this next graph is just level 1 serious incidents. And you can look at the trends there, the highest being medication errors, followed by UTIs, and then dehydration. The next graph is for level 2 serious incidents. And then the final graph here in pink is for level 3 serious incidents. Now, one thing I want to show you how to do is to change the number of the add your own categories that are displayed on the graph. So it is preset to have 5 categories of the add your own on the graph. You can see that I added peer-to-peer incidents and cuts and scrapes. Those have also followed in to be in the graph. So the first thing you want to do is unprotect your graph. So you're going to go up to Review and Unprotect Sheet. You want to always be very careful when you're unprotecting a sheet, not to make any changes, or just be careful about what you're doing because you don't want to mess it up. If you do accidentally mess it up, just use that undo button. All right, so we're going to go to the plot area with the crossbars, and we're going to right click and pick select data. It's going to pop you over to the quarterly totals tab, but you're not going to worry about that. We're going to look at this box that is on top, and on the right hand side, the horizontal axis labels. You're just going to scroll down, and you're going to see where it has selected the add your own categories. So if there's more you want to show, you just click the other ones you want included and hit OK, and it'll pop you back to the graph, and those new categories are now displayed. And the final thing we're going to do is go back and protect our sheet. And you don't need to put a password to protect it, you just do general protection. All right. So now that we've looked at that, we're going to move on. So that is tracking our serious incidents. Now we're going to look at tracking our care concerns. So this is another place you're going to enter data every month. It already is pre-filled with the care concern criteria, and also there's the add your own. So if you have other risk trigger and threshold criteria that you track, you can put that here. For example, I've pre-filled maybe 4 peer-to-peer incidents for the same person in 6 months. That's just something I invented just to show you that that is where an add your own would go. You would enter your numbers for each month, and then if you look at the graph, it populates for you. So again, we have those same colors for each quarter, and you can see in the graph your results for each quarter. Now this is the same for the other graphs. If you hover over the bar, it'll tell you what that bar is. So sometimes your graph might get busy and you're like, I don't remember what quarter that is, or I can't tell what number that is. If you hover over the bar, it should tell you, like, this is quarter 3 for 2 or more unplanned medical or hospital admissions, and the value is 4. All right, so those are all of our graphs. Now I want to show you a hidden gem, and I really want to emphasize the importance of using this worksheet and the next one we're going to look at. This is our quarterly and annual review worksheets. The purpose of these worksheets is to help you review and discuss your data. This is part of Licensing Regulation 160C. So it has space for each quarters and for the annual discussion. It has a place for you to discuss both risks, conditions, and serious incidents, as well as risk triggers and thresholds and care concerns. I highly recommend you get with your team when you analyze your data and summarize your discussions on this worksheet. There are also helpful questions that you can use in column D here, such as, in the summary of findings, some questions that might help you are, what's the data tell you? What are the highest risks and incidents? What are the lowest? For analysis of trends, it asks, what is happening over time with the data? Is there a pattern, or has the pattern changed? Is something getting better or worse? So these are just helpful questions that could help your team discuss your results. So I started to fill this in just as an example. For quarter 1, if we look back, we could say that in quarter 1, the highest risks for level 1 was medication error, followed by urinary tract infections, and for level 2, the highest was falls. So you would probably do a much better job than I did, but that is what I put as a summary here. And then for our care concerns, the highest in quarter 1 was choking. So you would go on to discuss your potential systemic issues or causes, any remediation that is indicated, meaning what are you going to do to address or improve this issue that you're seeing? What steps are you going to take to mitigate the potential for future incidents? Here, you absolutely need to consider if you need to update your quality improvement and or risk management plan, and make a plan to do that. And then if you have other recommendations, you can record them here. Finally, we're going to incorporate these results into our systemic risk assessment and complete the rest of the annual systemic risk assessment template. This is new this year, making it part of this workbook. This is the same template that licensing makes available outside of this workbook, but we wanted to put it here as a handy thing that's all in one place. So at the top of this tab, you see links to examples of systemic risk assessment templates for different settings. So you can click on those. I'm not going to do that, but if you click on it, it takes you right to that example in a web browser. So going through this also updates the year automatically if you update it earlier in the workbook. It has a place for you to put your name, your related policy number, the effective date of this tool, and when it was revised. It has spots to put your risk areas, your findings, your risk score, which using the matrix we'll look at in a second, any recommendations you have, comments and actions, when, if you plan to add it to the risk management plan, and the date of completion. So it also has space for each of the areas that are required to be included in a systemic risk assessment. And under risk triggers and thresholds, again, it has a link to a fact sheet about what that means. And then down here, it has, at the end, it has the risk matrix to help you determine the level of risk. Might also help you determine the level of urgency around addressing that particular risk area. So these are your scores in here, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then a place to sign it. And don't forget to sign and date this when you revise it or update it. So I've put an example under environment of care. The example is risk area being fire extinguishers being available per regulations and in good working order. Maybe a recent finding showed that 2 out of the 5 had expired. We had this as a high risk score. And the recommendation was to replace the expired extinguishers immediately, with our comments and actions being that risk management ordered new fire extinguishers by the close of business Friday, and we will add it to the risk management plan, and it was completed on November 30th. And for that risk score, actually, probably what we would have wanted to put was, instead of high, maybe 3 or 4. So I'm just going to replace that real fast. Okay, so that is our systemic risk assessment template. So what I'm going to show you now is the individual version of this. So that takes us to the end of the monthly version. Let's look at the individual tool. So the individual tool looks largely the same, except you'll want to use this version if you want to start by recording the number of incidents for each individual. Okay, the other one was just doing your monthly totals. This is each individual's incident. So you're really going to start here on this individual log. And what you're going to do is enter the person's name and or ID number. It says these are optional, but it's highly recommended to have one or the other so that you can find it later and know who it belongs to. You absolutely have to put data into C, D, and E in order for it to then populate the rest of the tabs. And then you have a notes section. So if we do an example here, let's see, 1st of January, maybe Miss Minnie Mouse has a tumble. And you can see there's a drop-down box. Now this drop-down box is populated by what is on the monthly risk tracker list. I'll show you that in a minute, but we're just going to pick falls for now, and that it was a level 2 incident. She fell while dancing at maybe a New Year's Eve party. So, so that is that. And so once you put an incident here, it will show up in the monthly tracker. So you cannot edit data on this tracker like you can the other one because it is driven by the individual events. So this is not editable, see? But the numbers do pop up here when you enter them on the individual log. Now, you still have the same list of risks and conditions, the suggested ones, and the add your own. So if you want a condition to pop up on the individual log, you actually have to put it here first. That's the only little tricky thing about using this version. So now that I've put cuts and scrapes on the list here, let me show you. Now it shows up here on the list, on the drop-down list on the individual log. So you just got to remember to do that. So once you put your individual log data in, it will populate the monthly risk tracker, and then everything else works the same as the monthly tracker. One thing I wanted to also explain to you before we close out, I'm going to go back to the monthly risk tracker, is that you have the add your own options here. But if you want to track, for example, ER visits, right? That's a type of level 2 serious incident. If you add something that is an event, you might result in duplicating some of your numbers, just if you're counting how many of a certain type of event happen. For example, if you have a fall and it results in an ER visit, if you put it as a fall and an ER visit, you're basically counting it on this spreadsheet twice. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, you just have to realize that might happen. And this spreadsheet isn't really designed to count the total number of level 2 serious incidents, for example. You can do this. It's not necessarily designed for that. But if you wanted to do that, you could count down how many level 2 serious incidents you have. Just be mindful if you've included something like ER visits or hospitalizations, you may be counting certain serious incidents twice. All right, so I believe that takes us to the end of our instructions for using the Excel risk tracker, both the monthly and the individual versions. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I wish you the best of luck in tracking your serious incidents. Thank you.